Hello everyone and welcome back. Today, let's go over the Waycrest Manor boss guide. Now up first, we have the Heartsbane Triad or the Three Sisters. And this is an interesting council fight because only one of the bosses is active at a given time. So let's go over the bosses in the order in which they're active. Up first, we have Sister Solena, and what you'll see is that every single one of these bosses has a castable interruptible ability, the first one being Soul Bolt. It just does some damage and is cast on a random person. The big ability that Sister Solena has is called Soul Manipulation, and when this goes out, she mind controls a player until they're damaged to 50% of their HP. So as soon as that person gets mind controlled, go ahead and DPS them down to 50%, but try not to leave too many debuffs on them since they don't get cleansed when they get unmind controlled. Now in heroic and mythic level difficulty, each one of these bosses also has an aura, and the first aura that you encounter here with Sister Solena reduces healing done by players by 50%, so your healers are going to have to push out a little bit more healing. After that, we have Sister Malady activated. Her continuous cast that is interruptible is called Ruinous Bolt, and the big ability that she has is called the Unstable Runic Mark. This is going to deal slow damage over 6 seconds, and when this debuff falls off, it will do a big AoE explosion ability around you. It is important to note that this ability can be cleansed, but if you are going to go ahead and cleanse it, as soon as you cleanse it off of yourself, it will still explode. So make sure that nobody is within the AoE around you when that happens. Now in heroic and mythic mode, the aura that this boss puts out is a stacking debuff that is removed when you move around. So when she activates, just make sure you're always taking a few steps here and there to remove the debuff from yourself. After that, the third sister here is Sister Briar. Her interruptible cast is called Bramble Bolt, and her big ability is called Jagged Nettles. What this is going to be doing is basically what Grievous does as a Mythic Plus affix. It is going to damage a random player and give them a debuff that does not go away until they're healed above 90% of their HP. Now in heroic and mythic mode, the aura that this sister has is kind of like thorns, so what happens is every time you deal damage to this boss, a small amount of damage is reflected back to you. So if you do have the debuff, try to stop attacking the boss so it's easier for your healer to get you above 90%, and you should be good to go. If any of these bosses does hit 100 energy, they are going to do a big AoE explosion, so when we have big tyrannical weeks on a high key, just make sure that when this 100 energy goes out, you pop a defensive ability to stay alive because the damage is high. Up next, we have the Soulbound Goliath. Now this boss will continue to gain stacks as the fight progresses, which will increase the damage done by the boss per stack. Now the way to get rid of these stacks on this boss is to actually pay attention to the arena. A lightning bolt will come down and hit the ground, and after it hits, it'll actually start a fire. When you run the boss through the fire, the boss will begin burning, sending out AoE sparks to everyone, so everyone should be getting healed at this point, and dropping all of his stacks. One of the other things that this boss does to the tanks is it uses a big boss damaging ability called Crush. So when this goes out, make sure you have active mitigation or a small defensive cooldown ready to go in order to take this damage, especially if the stacks are getting high. And you should be cleansing the stacks by running the boss into the fire about every 8 to 12 stacks. Something else that this boss does is cast Soul Thorns on a random person. What this does is it impales a random person and the thorn actually has HP. So what you need to do is quickly swap over to this thorn, DPS it down to make sure that the person inside is freed. Now in heroic and mythic mode, when you run this boss through the fire, he does spawn a bunch of adds as seen here. These adds will chase down one random person for 10 seconds and then actually go away. So what this person just needs to do is run around the arena and not get hit by these adds since they do hit hard, and hit with this stacking debuff as well. So just run away from them for 10 seconds, they will go away. Up next, we have Raal the Gluttonous. It is important to note that this boss does not move, so your tank has to be in melee at all times. Now Raal the Gluttonous will face in a certain direction and cause Rotten Explosion. This will cause pools on the ground that you do not want to step on, and in heroic and mythic mode, these pools will also summon adds that have to be nuked down immediately. Another frontal ability that he does cast is called Tenderize, so he faces a random direction, starts casting again, you do need to sidestep and not get hit by this. The last and final thing that he does do is summon servants, and these servants are going to slowly walk over to Raal, and if he does actually eat them, he will gain a permanent damage buff. So what you want to do is snare, CC, stun, whatever you can to take care of these ads to stop them from reaching Raal so he doesn't get a damage buff. The next boss on the list is Lord and Lady Waycrest. Now the first active boss is actually going to be Lord Waycrest with Lady Waycrest in the back, and Lord Waycrest will actually be casting Wasting Strike, which is a big tank damaging ability, so you have to be ready to take that damage up front. The other thing that he does do is that he applies Virulent Pathogen on a non-tank. What this does is that after 5 seconds or after you get cleansed, the debuff will actually go out in an AoE around you and be applied to anyone around you, but also explode for a small amount of damage. So if you do happen to have this debuff on you, run out from the group and either ask for a cleanse or wait for it to fall off before running back in. Now during this phase as well, Lady Waycrest will be casting something called Discordant Cadenza, which just means that she's going to be throwing a bunch of stuff on the ground. Just don't step in it, avoid it as best as you can. It does drop near your feet, so as long as you have a decent path, you won't actually be getting hit by this. Now every time that Lord Waycrest actually reaches 30% HP, Lady will use her HP to full heal him, and this will happen 3 times, and then Lord and Lady Waycrest will both go onto the platform and both have to be cleaved and nuked down. Now in Heroic and Mythic mode, after the Virulent Pathogen actually goes out on you and explodes, there will be a 4-second debuff on the ground that can apply that pathogen on other people that walk on top of it. So just make sure you know where you're walking, do not stand on anything on the ground, or you might get a debuff which will keep spreading to other party members. So make sure you all spread out, nobody has to stand within each other's AoE, and you should be all good. Last boss in this dungeon is Gorac Tool. Now Gorac Tool is all about ads that he summons and how to handle them. So he will continuously keep summoning ads throughout the fight. These ads will leap to the furthest person in the group, apply a dot on them, which actually does a decent amount of damage. The boss himself just does an interruptible lightning bolt cast, so just make sure you interrupt that whenever you can. And at 100 energy, he does an AoE to everyone called Dread Essence. Not only does this hit everyone, it also full heals and reses any ads that have existed in the fight. So in order for you to stop having more and more ads come up throughout the fight and to stop them from getting resurrected, what you need to do is pick up the fire from the ground. Once you pick up the fire from the ground, you do want to grab that fire and throw it on top of the bodies and corpses of these ads. It is important to note that the ads must be currently dead in order for them to be set on fire. Now in Heroic and Mythic mode, the ads are a lot more deadly. They do cast something called Death Lens on a random person, and this cast deals 70% of that person's HP over 5 seconds. So what you can do actually is use a CC ability in order to interrupt the Death Lens. And your healer should be very aware of who is getting targeted by it and start healing them back up immediately, because if you get a Death Lens cast on you and then the 100 energy AoE cast, you could easily go down. So just make sure you handle the ads properly and you should be able to take this boss out. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what I do, want to help support the channel, go ahead and visit my Patreon down below. I do also stream every Wednesday and Friday here and on Twitch, so give me a follow on your favorite platform. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, good luck out there.